Today's wonderful area of archaeology today is the archaeology of stone heads. I thought this was a very interesting subject, and the student who chose this subject felt that I could look at carved stone heads around the world. But in particular, I thought I would include the heads of various statues as well, this being the most famous one at the Sphinx in Egypt. As an area of archaeology, this covers a number of different locations in the world, and including Great Britain as well. Nice little stone head from Binchester, up in Durham. But what we've got to look at now is the Olmec heads of wonderful civilization that existed in Central America nearly 3,000 years ago, giving you an idea of scale here. These wonderful carved heads, as all the descriptions of these heads tell us that they're very North African in context, in profile, large lips, large nose cavity. Lots of text here, but one thing that should really be said about these Olmec heads is that they really do dominate this not elusive civilization, but this civilization that was very able to carve this wonderful architecture, and is in particularly to be seen at three important sites in Central America as part of the Olmec civilization. And the heads themselves look towards Africa, and there are hundreds of these examples. Many are up to 2 meters in height, some are up to 4 meters in height, carved out of mainly basalt, very hard stone. As you can see from these features, they do look very African, but some people have mentioned in my classes that they look very much as if they're Oriental from the Pacific region, if not from as far away as China, given an idea of links, which very much epitomizes the Olmec civilization of Central America. These people were replaced by subsequent civilizations, and then you go into the world of the Maya and the Aztecs, who were eventually conquered by the conquistadors in 1521. They are there for everybody to see today, littering the landscape of the Olmec world. Moving into Central America, looking at these wonderful carvings that can be seen across Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, these carvings of heads that look through the root systems of temples that are still dominant today, but the heads are now being taken over amongst these abandoned temples, as you can see in front of you. When you do look at these carved heads, this is in section heads, and many can adorn these temples across Indochina, this wonderful landscape. This is the site of the tomb of Antiochus I, and we then look at the Abu Simbel. We won't be looking at all these sites, but Antiochus we will, and this one in particular, the statues of Easter Island. This wonderful carving here, absolutely colossal, in China of all places, not being damaged, and you can get an idea of scale there with the pure size of these wonderful heads. These are from the Czech Republic, carved in 1840, so people like carving these heads even today. Over to the island of Easter Island, the people of Rapa Nui. The statues look out to the sea. The head of Geordie, the Roman god found at Binchester again, just checking this one in again, and nice little bit of text there. Yes, we do have stone carvings of heads in Britain rather than further away. The wonderful temple of, well, you could call it a temple tomb of Antiochus at Mount Nimrut in modern-day Turkey, southeast Turkey. One thing that we found about these statues is all the text tells us that the tomb of Antiochus has never really been excavated. But it's said that these statues well, the heads of these statues that were erected about 60 years BC were said to have been thrown down to the ground, decapitated from the statues associated with Antiochus, gods and animals, and Antiochus himself. But one thing that can be said about these statues is they were never ever erected on the carved statuary. They were never ever thrown down to the ground, because if they were, they would be extremely badly damaged. Um, you learn this from various lectures that I do. You do your own research, and these look out away from the landscape where this temple burial of Antiochus is said to be found today, and the mound behind is over 50 meters in height. Wonderful, enigmatic sight. Oh, we even get statuary heads from Wales, Deganwy. This is Llywelyn, the great Llywelyn the Great. And yes, statuary wherever it's found is a sign of advanced civilization. We're able to carve wonderful statuary. It's a sign that you've got the civilization to do so. This is a bit of carving from Hampshire in England, and this little bit of a head is very different from the rest in that it's a bit of a cross between a human and a lamb. Back to Easter Island, the Moai statues of the Rapa Nui people. Easter Island, they look out towards the sea. There are over 1,000 of them. Great deal of enigma about these statues. Obviously, when you take the heads separately, they said that they could represent people of the island. It's interesting the way these were actually moved. Some say they were moved upright. These were all carved from a very soft volcanic tuphus material, but when in position it would have set. And there's the movement of these wonderful Moai statues in front of you on this wonderful image. Various theories for the movement of the statues, but it takes away from the fact there are beautiful carvings on Easter Island, and there's a hell of a lot of literature about the statues on Easter Island. And very much, if any of you get the opportunity, get out and see them. But obviously, very remote island Easter Island is. But the one thing all these slides have in common is that they're far and world apart, and people obviously love carving their heads and their statuary wherever you go on this planet. Anyway, thanks for listening and watching these slides. This is Karl-James Langford, Archaeology Cymru. Thank you very much.